Live. Welcome to another live. Now, Donald Trump is sending mass deportation. So Donald Trump is cleaning the house and sending mass deportation under executive orders. So it's a minute that you're seeing a lot of legal immigrants, a lot of migrants, a lot of legal immigration is being sent back. If you're not from the United States, you're going to be sent back to your country. So we definitely got to cover up this. You know, ever since Trump was running for president in 2016, he was concentrating on building a wall and sending the legal immigration back to their country. You know, and there's a lot of stuff you may not agree, fam. You know, you got to know what's your rights. Do you have rights being American here? And when it comes to, other minority people, I guess they got their equal rights. When, we as American black people, we don't really have rights. You know, when I say racial injustice stuck with us, it stuck with us. You know, like I said, fam, you know, Trump been going to sign these executive orders ever since he started his nomination. He been signing these executive orders. And these executive orders is, in play. He's cleaning house. He cleaning up the house. And what do this tells us, man? If you're a YouTuber, man, you got to be careful. Because if you're on social media, that's why I say, fam, a lot of social media, they be careful what they say. You know what I mean? They just sketchy when it comes to certain subjects, topics, and things. They sketchy of what they want to talk about. And I think we should be sketchy because now that Trump signed a lot of these executive orders, in a minute, man, if you're a YouTuber and you're making YouTube, you're making, content, you're a content creator, you got to be careful because when we look at one race, how long they've been treated fairly, and we look at another race, we don't have this notoriety. We don't have as black people, y'all. We don't have no morality. We don't have no say so. That's why a lot of black people get on here and they say what they want to say. Then you got a few of them, they don't want to say what they want to say. Whatever happened when you had that figure of speech where you can just go say what you want to say. But fam, I'm here to say everything Trump is doing, he's cleaning up the house. Once how's it going, fam? Once, you gotta understand this is a whole propaganda. They put out a croissant. They want you to believe in certain things, in certain gender. And certain gender might be treated different than that gender. There's a lot of things that we want to question. Why do, when it comes to gay marriage, why do they stand? In gay marriage, they stand on business. They stand on business of what they believe in. But when it comes to racial justice, when it comes to freedom, justice, and equality, when it comes to police brutality, you gotta understand, fam. When it comes to these executive orders, you gotta understand. Do these laws, Constitution, guarantee for me, you, for black, for Hispanic? For a Native American, you know, I mean, this is a lot to cover, man. It's definitely a lot to cover, fam. Because Trump is cleaning house and he's ripening all legal immigration. He been on that wall, man. He been on that building the wall, man. So what's next for all the content creators, for all the YouTubers? We don't have a figure of speech, man. It's like certain minority people is being monitored, man. You can't say what you want to say, you know what I mean? And this is why I honestly believe that when they came out TikTok, they just read everybody's platforms. You know what I mean? And they made it where they want a piece of this money, man. You see the greed of America, the greed of the United States of America, where they got so much money that it could be shared around, man. Why there's a need that they still want to monitor social media. Now, before I get started, man, you guys continue to share, like. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Let's get started here, man. Let's get started with what these people have to say, man.
Become. It is our belief that the only way you'll get control of the border is for deportations to start early so people will not pay the money to the coyotes and others to come to our border in the first place because they see people leaving, not staying. If we do not have outflow, the inflow will continue. An example of a broken immigration system was the abuse of parole by the Biden administration. Mass parole of people who did not meet the two criteria under the parole statute. The man who's been convicted of killing Laken Riley was paroled into the country because there was no bed space. There's nothing in the statute that allows parole because we have no place to put you. There's 38,000 beds. We're going to increase that dramatically. One of the witnesses here today, his family was destroyed by a man who had been deported 3 times. The 4th time was not a charge. So if you're here illegally, get ready to leave. If you're a criminal, we're coming after you first. If you've been paroled illegally, we're not going to give you the roots to attach yourself to our country because you.
Now, who is he to say that you don't? You know what I mean? This is a land of free. This is a land that everyone should be treated. See, because you know, I could pretty much walk through this with you. These people, they haven't owned the land one bit. The land, you see, the land was stolen. So the country cannot never be said to be the white man's own. But after 1776, when they wrote their declaration, when they wrote in the Constitution, they didn't write it in for the black Hispanics. When Dr. Martin Luther King, during the night of the filibuster, they would deny black and brown voting rights. You have no rights here. So Trump plan was to send mass, you know what I mean, deportation because, you know, no one, they feel that no one, if you're not an American citizen, if you from another foreign country, and see, that's sad because A lot of people come to America. They come to welcome themselves as want to be welcome as being American. But if you ain't got no passport, just think about it, fam. These people that came out of Europe, they didn't have no passport. They didn't have no passport to come here when they took the land from the native Indians, and when they raided and went to foreign countries. They took gas, they raped black women, gave them babies. Now you can't make this kind of stuff up, man. But when America had been a corporation and has been followed through executive orders, we gotta definitely talk about this, man. I seen a lot of you was timing in, but a lot of you is gone because when a topic get touched on, a lot of people get so sketchy. You get so sketchy. This topic is just too harsh. And I'm not going to agree with you, my brother. But if we look at it, when it comes to race, one race is treated better than the other. See, when gay marriage marched in the Capitol, right, demanding gay marriage right, it couldn't be black people marching to the Capitol, storming to the Capitol, and be begging for some freedom, justice, and equality, and be begging for a partition regarding, police brutality here in America. We couldn't get 7 million people marching. If that was ever to come and happen, brothers, don't you think that they would set a war? If 7 million black people died marching throughout her streets, storming that Capitol, well, we can get a good remaining 10 million to march for freedom, justice, and equality. See, when the die is set against us, when they come in to show you that, yeah, we still hold power. Don't think for a second we still hold power. Trump wasn't playing when he was going to clean up the house. He wasn't playing. He was going to sweep up and clean up the house. See, let me tell you something. When Satan and his house is divided, his house cannot stand. When Satan and his kingdom divided, he cannot stand because his end has come. But let them rule anyway. Because he's going to let you continue to rule anyway, till all of a sudden God has to make the announcement. The announcement he made on Pharaoh. Pharaoh was given dominions. See, when I say this, brothers, they will rally. America eventually, she's gonna rally. She's gonna have a good day. They're gonna rally. As rallying as taking the day as Independent Day to celebrate the independency of others. See, they're gonna take this joyful day. All of a sudden, they're gonna rally. All of a sudden, they're gonna have a good time, and then an end is gonna come in a terrible time. Now, Trump has been sending mass deep deportation that Trump is sending executive orders. And he's been concentrating on building that wall. If you're not American, if you don't have a passport, then you got to go back to your country. You know, I say this to say this. They coming for social media. See, it's like you go into a workplace. Five, of our black people make up 5% make up in a workplace, make up, a percentage. 5% blacks, you know. So when I say that it's only 5% of us make up the population in the workforce, that's everywhere we go. Meaning, if you get out to five, you get a few black people hired. But why is it more minority people privileged in the job force? That's why you got a lot of people that's supervisors, leads, managers, right? And you as this employee, there's this don't this raise questions why they got a lot of temp jobs. You know, once if you came out the joint, right, they got a lot of felony friendly jobs, and they got these temps, right? Because you this employee, at the end of the day, they can just fire you, replace you, say that your assignment in. I mean, have you went to these temps and you work for Staff Mark, you work for Randstad, you work for Amazon, and they don't have to have. You guys gotta understand, they don't have to have a reason to let you go, man. They do not have to have a reason to let you go. Well, that's exactly where Trump is sending mass deportation. That he's sending a lot of these executive orders to get legal migration out of the United States. It's just not right. You know, America, she sends the most loose characters to come here out of Europe. The most loose characters, the most loose kind. The lewdness of characters to come here, right? And ever since they come here, the first thing they do, they get front of, a car, money, a luxury, suite, right? But ever since we get black people here that been here, it's like when it comes to racial justice, when it comes to this segregation, when it comes to us separate, when it comes to these hateful crimes, police brutality, right? When it comes to dressing, our restitutional, our recreation, and all this that comes, right? Why none of this get addressed? But Trump is cleaning house, man. They get in power, and at the end of the day, they put out this propaganda stunt, man. All this I've been saying, it's a consent that they put. See, we are this a statistic, a number. See, that's all we are, fam. A statistic.
Us that will feel for years to come. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'm looking forward to hearing from our witnesses and to today's conversation.
Thanks, Senator Padilla. Senator Cornyn?
Thank you, Chairman Durbin. Listening to my Democratic colleagues, it's as if November 5th never occurred, that we haven't had an election, that we haven't had a referendum on the failed border policies of the Biden-Harris administration. Let's be clear, the crisis at the southern border is entirely a problem caused by the Biden administration's policies. It is a man-made disaster. The election, I believe, in large part was a referendum on those policies, and the American people spoke decisively, rejecting this as the new normal. They rejected lawlessness as the new normal. When President Biden came into office, Customs and Border Protection was apprehending about 70,000 illegal migrants a month. President Biden came in and reversed virtually all of the Trump administration policies, including canceling our agreements with Mexico and the Northern Triangle countries to limit illegal immigration. President Biden also attempted to impose a 100-day moratorium on all deportations. By March, illegal crossings had ballooned to 170,000 per month, up from 70,000, and then climbed progressively higher from there. Then the president used his executive authority to implement new guidelines that made clear to illegal immigrants that DHS was extremely unlikely to take any action against them until their conduct became especially egregious. Even so, criminal aliens were able to get away with a lot before any action would be taken.
Well, look, fam. These people was able to get away with lynch, murder, going from foraging countries, taking oil, raping our women, forcing our people to fight a war that was necessary when we went out and we fought the Philippines. We went out and fought Japan and Pearl Harbor, and those black people that died, those black people that poured their blood to share their comfort. And still we here been kicked, been treated. I think if you look at these people, man, I think that they should be able to acknowledge, have acknowledgement to acknowledge wrongdoing. You see, this is evil on their part. So when I say this, brothers, the country can never be said to be this white man owned, but after conquering the native Indians who had the independent claim called the present country of America. Now, America has been nothing but a corporation, man. And each president you have follow executive orders, man. Like Trump. Pretty soon, you're not gonna be able to have a figure of speech. Why you think so many people? We got content creators, so people are so sketchy as where their next topic gonna come from. It's scary. It's scary, folks. That what I mean. We bow down and you be sissy pies. You be the Uncle Tom, the white man bootlickers. You sissy pies. You see. You don't have no future, man. because she don't have a future for herself. And when she don't have a future for herself, what makes you think that she gonna have a future for you? See, we living under a shadow of death. Babies murdered. Well, in America, I've been saying they've been putting up a law how to kill unborn babies. But where are you going to do that for? He's starting to make up the excuse that it's starting to be too many. You see this legal immigration. They send them back. See, the cities is crowded, but the country, where you can go to a country, there's more room. How would they feel if they was treated the same way, man? These people came out of Europe. They had the most yours, the lewdness of characters, the most lewdness of characters coming out of Europe, and they make themselves home. They make themselves free here. How would they feel if someone was to come and to do that to them? Yes, he intended to make all laws and enforcement immune from persecution. Very scary. Yes, it's very scary, man. I say it is very scary because now this thing you don't have a figure of speech. This thing that this go to all content creators. If you're a YouTube content creator and if you making content, man, you gotta be cautious of what's your next topic going to be, man. What's your next topic going to be, man? When you're a YouTube content creator, what's going to be your next topic, man? If you don't have a figure of speech, if you can't say what you want to say, man. You see, Trump is cleaning house. See, Trump is sending mass a deportation, man. And I always say America is a corporation. They follow these executive orders, man. That's what they do. They follow under the executive orders. Pete the play, man.
Government Reform and Counsel on the House Judiciary Committee. He is expert on immigration policy. He has decided thousands of cases. Has testified before Congress on more than 10 occasions. He received his JD from George Washington University and his bachelor's from University of Virginia. Ms. Boren is here with us again. She is from Aberdeen, Maryland. She's retired, but currently works part-time as an office administrator for a church. She has six children, stay-at-home mom for 25 years, homeschool her children. She is the mother of Rachel Morin, and she joins us today to share Rachel's story. Real quickly, Senator Cornyn mentioned this, but the man who stands accused of murdering Rachel was deported 3 times, is suspected of murdering a woman in El Salvador, where he came from, broke into a home in California and assaulted a young girl who's pending trial like everybody else. He's innocent until proven guilty. But this case...
Now, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. In order for America to become great again, they gotta clean up their house. And if it's legal immigration don't belong here in the United States of America, then I can agree 100% with Trump. I support that. Something that Biden can do, man. When we look at our proposition, my proposition, 42, man, is it got a mess, man. People was treated privileges, man, and these special privileges. People had a 5-star. This thing, you got a 5-star hotel. This thing that, you came all the way from another country and you treat it like American. We see. I want you guys, Pete, to play. We as black people were never treated that way. We was never treated that way. But Trump is cleaning the house. Trump is Trump is actually cleaning house. He's getting the house clean. He's signing off on these executive orders and sending legal immigration, you know what I mean, back to where they was from. So he's doing a good job. In other words, at least they cleaning up, man. At least they cleaning up these legal immigrations, man. You know, I've been always saying, man, there's always this war, man. There's always this war in America. And the war, you know what I mean, that America have is because she throw her weight on every country. She throw her weight in. You know, it had not been one president that throw they weight. And Trump is, like I said, he said a massive, massive a deportation of these executive orders to send. You know, if you're not from here, if you're a legal immigrant, you gotta go back to your country. You gotta go back to your country.
Is building community, and we're extremely anxious about what the future might bring. I feel the consequences of mass deportation on a personal level, on a community level, and on a societal level. On a personal level, my wife is here, and I have no family in Sierra Leone to help sustain me. I'm currently the breadwinner in my family. If I were to be deported, my wife and our son would be left without to pay the mortgage. My son would also be without a father. My deportation would hurt my own U.S. citizen mother and my wife's extended family, all of whom are United States citizens. My wife is the primary caregiver of her mother, who is legally disabled and has a tumor in her brain. My wife's mother requires chemotherapy injection each month in order to control the size of the tumor on her brain.
I want y'all to know something. Biden flooded legal immigration, migrants, right? There was a problem, right? Ever since he did, it was a problem. But now, ever since Trump is, if you don't have a passport here, if you're not a citizen here, they sending you back to your country, man. This is wicked. And it's like, Trump is cleaning house though. But when you come here to the United States of America, you want to come be welcome. Everybody had a mind to come to the United States of America. That's just to say thank you. That's just to make yourself welcome. And there was a lot of people. There was a lot of people came from different foreign countries came to the United States. They came to the United States, made a home. But ever since Trump came in, ever since that inauguration came, you know, Trump been signing a lot of executive orders, and he be focused on cleaning his house up. And a lot of people is coming out, man. A lot of people coming out, man, and this had to start all over. See, when I'm saying they don't know the situation of these people. Some people leave their country to go somewhere. That's like you leaving America okay, I've been in America. I know how it is. You know what I mean? I know how the rent is. The rent is just keep going up. And, you get Americans got to say paycheck to paycheck. They got to know me what's going to be the next job because you're going to have to find another job. And you're going to have to be consistent with your work. And, you know what I mean? And at the same time, you got to keep in mind you're not treated fairly. You're not treated as a different minority group.
And to my entire family, thank you all so much for your time and attention to this critical issue.
Thank you, Mr. Toure. Mr. Arthur.
Chairman Durbin, Ranking Member Graham, and members of the committee, thank you for
Building your online business? Go to Wix.com and set up your store on a single.
I believe that today's hearing, which focuses on the immigration enforcement policies of the incoming Trump administration, is premature because as of yet, the incoming administration has not announced its policies. Given that, however, the committee should assume two things. First, that the policies the new administration will implement will comport with law. And second, that those policies will implement enforcement mandates Congress has set forth in the Immigration and Nationality Act. As the Supreme Court has made clear, the principle that Congress is entrusted exclusively with the formulation of policies relating to the entry of aliens and their right to remain here, quote, has become about as firmly embedded in the legislative and judicial tissues of our body politic as any aspect of our government, close quote. Right now, the U.S. immigration system is at a breaking point. The number of cases pending before the immigration courts has nearly tripled in the past.
I'm gonna tell y'all something. Whenever there is a crisis, there's these fortune countries go through a lot of crisis. A lot of crisis is happening. You know, and I believe when Christ happens and it comes to a pace, where it comes to where you gotta leave from your hometown. You gotta leave from your country. You gotta go somewhere where you and your family can live somewhere where, you know what I mean, you think to yourself that I'm gonna be welcome. I'm gonna be welcome if I come. But the sad thing I just want to say, a lot of those people that was arrested was transport. You know, a lot of people start saying about Biden. Regarding legal immigration, legal immigrants, and, you know. But now Trump came in, and ever since this nomination, day that he just signed off executive orders. And this is show, brothers and sisters, who been the daddy? Who been your daddy? Who been your daddy, man? Trump got back in office, nothing changed. Nothing gonna change. He been concentrating on building this wall. It says Trump has sent mass deportation.
to address the immigration source of such issues in Great Britain, and it's well past time that our government did the same. In his 1995 State of the Union address, President Bill Clinton explained, quote, all Americans, not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country, are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country. The jobs they hold might otherwise be held by citizens or legal immigrants. The public service they use impose burdens on our taxpayers. That's why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before, by cracking down on illegal hiring, by barring welfare benefits to illegal aliens, close quote. Change the tenses, and that's pretty much what President Trump promised to do when he was candidate Trump on the campaign trail. Thank you. Truly appreciate the honor, and I look forward to your questions.
Thanks, Mr. Arthur. General Manner.
Chairman Durbin, ranking served our nation in both the regular Army and in the National Guard. Prior to retiring from the Army as a Major General, I served as the Deputy Commanding General of the United States Third Army in Kuwait, as the Acting Vice Chief of the National Guard Bureau, and as the Acting and Deputy Director of the Defense Threat Reduction Agency. During the time I served, I saw firsthand that our military force is the envy of the world. It is respected by our allies and by people around the world who want to live free of oppression. It is feared by our enemies and those who would do us harm. Our military members come from every possible background, representing every state, every race, ethnic group, and religion. But when they come together in the military, they are molded together in a team expected to embody the values which make America great: duty, honor, integrity, respect, selfless service, loyalty, personal courage, and excellence. President-elect Trump has announced his intent to use the U.S. military to execute his mass deportation plan. I am gravely concerned that placing our military in this role could cause significant harm to both the institution of our armed forces and to service members themselves. There are four.
Let me tell you something. The Brown is our half brothers, man. They treat it like us, man. They treat it like us, man. Man. They treat immigration, they treat them like trash. This, like, well, they're aliens to us. And if they ain't got no proof being a citizen here, we're gonna send them back. I don't want to be under something that's going to be very hot, that's burning. This is why I say fire fed with fuel. And see, leaving your own home and country, you go to another man's home and country and start war. It is the attacker that has started the attack. We gotta talk about every oppressor. The oppressors. Ever since we've been here, there have been one war right after another. See, it's not peace. Peace was never in the nature of a race of people that segregate us. So there's definitely got to be a change. this is a man that everyone should be able to come here. Imagine your country was destroyed. You're gonna have nowhere. Imagine someone telling you you have your passport. Imagine you have to show something this to come here to the United States. Everybody got on Joe Biden. The first thing they got on Joe Biden about legal immigration, legal migrants, these immigrations. But soon Trump gets in. The moment he got in, see, he signed numerous executive orders. Mass deportation, sending immigrants back to their country.
Said, Mrs. Morin, we found your daughter's body. At the time, all I knew was that my daughter was dead. When I went to meet with the detective and we had come back from Kentucky, I was told that she was beaten so badly that her body was blanketed in bruises, that she was strangled, that she was raped, and that she was stuffed into a drain pipe. The person that they alleged did this was an illegal immigrant from El Salvador that was a gotaway. He had they already had an Interpol warrant for him in El Salvador for murdering a woman. He had attacked a 9-year-old and her mother in California, and he waited on the trail that day that our family has walked for 25 years and dragged my daughter off the trail and did these horrendous, brutal things. This is what she looked like before that day. Oops. She's a beautiful woman.
Wow, man. Wow. These things happen, y'all, man. And that's the first thing you have to do, man. There's a lot of pedophiles, a lot of murderers. You know, this is what Trump had to do, man. This is what he had to do, man. It's sad, man. This can happen, man. Comment below if you think Trump did a good job. I need y'all to comment below, man.
2 murders by illegal immigrants. Maryland is a sanctuary state, and we have sanctuary cities. I was last told that crime in Maryland has increased by 850% over the last 4 years. We have over 54,000 convicted criminals, illegal immigrants that are criminals in our country at this very moment. I think deportation is necessary. The American people should not feel afraid to live in their own homes. When I was 14 years old, and I don't know if anybody knows this, but when I was 14 years old, a criminally insane man came into my house, kidnapped me, made me walk 60 miles towards the Canadian border while raping me at night. I have some idea of what it's like to be a victim of a violent crime where law enforcement did not believe that they were going to find me alive. So I have some understanding of what my daughter suffered. And when I was at that funeral home and saw my daughter's body, because the case, the hearing's not until April, I can't tell you in detail, but I can tell you this one thing, that my daughter suffered so terribly in a very brutal and violent way. And these type of immigrants should not be in our country. And because we have open borders, and because everyone is allowed in, and because the law is not being carried out at the borders, if they had done a DNA swab, the 3 times they encountered this person that's allegedly accused of killing my daughter, they would have known that he had an Interpol warrant for murder in his country. We need to follow the laws that are already on the book. We need to close our borders. We need to protect American families. We need to protect our women and children, which are the most vulnerable in this country. And I do understand the economics that everyone is talking about. I do understand the military position, but I think that you should put American citizens first. We are the ones that pay your paycheck. We are the ones that pay taxes. We are the ones that believe that when you went into office that you were going to keep your word, and that you were the man or the woman for the job at the time that would uphold our values. We are a constitutional republic for the people, by the people. We, the people, have put you, the people, into office. And you should be doing everything you can to protect us. That's why we put you there. A thought that I had just today coming on the train over here is that when you look at a tree and you say, oh, that's an apple tree, you say that because you see that their apple is the fruit that's growing on the tree. It's the same thing with a man's character. It's by your actions that a person knows what their character is like. And I think one of the reasons why 87% of Americans voted for Donald Trump is because they have seen the character by the fruit that President Biden and Kamala Harris have produced these last 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moran. Mr. Reichlin Melnick.
Chairman Durbin, Ranking Member Graham, and distinguished members of the committee. My name is Aaron Reichlin Melnick, and I'm the Senior Fellow at the American Immigration Council. At the Council, we have long studied the population of immigrants in the United States and provide detailed estimates of their demographics and economic contributions on our Map the Impact website. Today, there are at least 13 million undocumented immigrants in the United States. President-elect Trump has promised a mass deportation campaign with the stated intent of rounding up and deporting every single one of them. So who are they? Well, most have been here for at least 15 years, having entered before the Obama administration. Over 4.8 million people have been here for 25 years or more, with no path to permanent legal status, no line for them to stand in. Most undocumented immigrants have spent decades living, working, and putting down roots, all at constant risk of deportation. Nearly all are either employed or attending school. Some have permission to work legally. Most do not, putting them at increased risk of exploitation. They are farm workers, meat packers, cooks, waiters, construction workers, factory workers, delivery people, home health aides, nurses, teachers, artists, writers, musicians, entrepreneurs, and yes, even lawyers.
Dave wanted to heat up his sex life, so he came to us. Rose Sparks' dual action formula acts fast and lasts long. Now, when she...
Undocumented immigrants are also more than their jobs. They are parents, spouses, partners, brothers and sisters, grandparents and grandchildren, loved ones and friends to millions of U.S. citizens and permanent residents. 5 million U.S. citizen children have at least one undocumented parent. In an average public school classroom of 25 children, at least 2 have an undocumented immigrant parent at risk of deportation. While President-elect Trump talks about targeting criminals, over 90% have no prior criminal record whatsoever. Of the small minority that do, the most common prior convictions are traffic offenses or immigration offenses. Efforts to ramp up deportations would sweep in tens of thousands of people each year who have no or minimal criminal legal system contact. We know this because this is what happened during the first Trump administration. When there were no enforcement priorities, everyone was an enforcement priority. And the single largest group of the increased arrests under the Trump administration was people with no criminal record. Beyond splitting families apart, a mass deportation campaign would be a costly mistake for American taxpayers. When we account for the enormous capital investment, infrastructure, and hiring necessary to arrest, detain, process, and remove 1 million people per year, we estimate that mass deportations would cost $968 billion in total, enough to instead construct 2.9 million new homes or fund Head Start for 79 years. Mass deportations would also cause economic chaos. As millions are expelled, the U.S. population and labor force would shrink. So too would the economy. Prices would rise in sectors with significant undocumented workforces. Building, maintaining, and repairing.
You hear that? Crisis will rise to an occasion. War will be on the rise. You gotta think how long most of the people been here. Most people been here over 15 years. 15 years they've been here, man. Let's think about you been here through all the way through the Obama administration. You know what I mean? You've been here to the United States, man. And they force you to come, you know what I mean, go back to your country. You know, it's sad. Sad. But, you know, a lot of people been here through all the way through the Obama administration. And you see, man, they, you know what I mean? A minority people has always been accepted. And has always been that way. A minority people have always been accepted. Now, I'm not racist. But we keep it real. We keep it real. There have been no freedom. We never feel what justice was like, or never feel what equality. You know, the assassination of Abraham Lincoln by John W. Booth. The assassination of John F. Kennedy by Lee Harvey. November 22nd, 1963, in Dallas, Texas. The assassination of William McKinley, and the assassination of, you have James A. Garfield. The assassination of Mr. Huey P. Young shared her wealth. And all four of these men was assassinated. Miss Huey Young says shared her wealth, and with this he was murdered. You know, that's why I say there's no justice. There's no justice. Over 400 years, we have been here.
Keep me safe. I don't care what the hell it costs. So is it realistic, if we're talking about a massive deportation, for us to be looking at federal budgets for financing?
I think it's important for people to understand that ICE already goes after people with criminal records all the time. And in fact, that has been the priority of the previous 2 to 3 or more presidential administrations, and is what Congress says. So the overwhelming majority of people who would be the targets of a mass deportation campaign do not have criminal records. They are people who have been living otherwise law-abiding lives in this country, living, working, and in many cases paying taxes.
So you estimate, at least in one publication here, that the cost of massive deportation would be $316 billion?
At a minimum. In fact, if you look at it over the course of an 11-year operation, it could be as much as $1 trillion.
And that's for conducting sufficient arrests, detaining immigrants in mass, legal processing, and removal for those 4 categories.
That's right. And we're looking at hundreds of billions of dollars to carry out a deportation of 4% of the U.S. population.
So if you want to do a massive deportation to get Mr. Toure out of this country, you're talking about a massive amount of money that has to be spent.
Enormous sums.
And we hear from General Manner the impact it could have on our National Guard and military if they are given this responsibility. Have you taken that into consideration?
We weren't even able to account for the costs of the military, so you should consider our estimates to be conservative.
The greed of these people, man. They're not caring about the consequences, about the danger that this can cause on our military, man. This here could be an all-out war. See, when do they take in perception that there's some people that been here, that came all the way through Obama administration? Everything. See. That's why I said when you have America, it's this a whole concern. It's a corporate. That's all it is. This is propaganda. He's not worried about. He's worried about money. He's not worried about the consequences of our military. He's not concerned about that.
Much different assignment than saying massive deportations. Thank you, Mr. Melnick. Senator Graham.
Does anybody disagree with the following statement? America has a right to limit how many people can come into our country.
No.
Nobody disagrees with that. Good. Mr. Toure, very successful life.
I disagree with it because y'all came to a country that wasn't yours. Y'all haven't owned anything. You didn't took the land. You didn't file the land, and now you have something to say. America created one war after another. Listen what I'm saying. She created one war after there had been one war after another. And the people starting to see you can't live with them in peace because peace was never in the nature. That's it. Trump is cleaning his house. And he's sending mass deportations. And that's why I always said, man, when America's a corporate, man, and it's fall under these executive orders, man. It's you gotta understand, fam. America, she starts one war right after another. It's gonna be one war after another.
How many illegal immigrants are in the country today?
I said roughly 13 million.
Okay,
Don't know the
I
exact
would say
estimates.
that the last thing we want to do is give amnesty to people here now because we'll be overrun. Mr. Arthur, would you describe the last 4 years as mass illegal immigration coming to our borders?
I believe that that's fair characterization, Senator.
Does anybody disagree that the last 4 years has resulted in mass illegal immigration directed toward America? Because if this is not mass, what the hell would be? Now, how do you answer mass illegal immigration? You start enforcing the laws, Ms. Moran said, and you start sending people back who've had their day in court. You can't answer the question, and I respect you. You've been able to take the opportunity to make something of yourself, but we're passing on just constant
Go between your butt cheeks, down between your schnitzel sack, and just sniff the suds, and you go, okay, that's what she's talking about. What happens is the pH is so high, it actually accelerates the odor reaction. When you raise the pH, you accelerate the metabolic rate of those bacteria. You rinse off the soap, but the pH is still very high. And it takes about 6 hours for your skin to recover to get down to the healthy acid mantle pH. It's causing body odor to accelerate on your skin in a way that if we weren't using soap and we were acidifying the routine, we would smell even better. Right out of the shower, we would smell better longer throughout the day. We would definitely smell better naked everywhere. Because this is
disorder. If you can't say you should be deported after you've had a full hearing, everything been available to you, and you lose, and it's hard to say you need to go, we don't have an immigration system. General, how many people have been deployed to the border by governors to assist in border security from the National Guard?
Sir, I don't have that information.
Okay.
Hey, look, have there been any information yet that how many, you know what I mean, lewdness of characters that these people bring out of Europe? The most lewdness characters come here to Europe and make themselves a home. They make themselves a home. You know, one ethnic group is treated, you know, love, while the other ethnic group is treated, you know, you see, he's not treated the same. So you gotta understand, different minority groups is treated different. See, we had not been a minority people. So when we look, see, when we look, you know what I mean, at this fam, we not treated. So these people, you know, America, I always say, man, America always take a gamble. I mean, and take a big gamble. Because when Trump all of a sudden signed these executive orders, you know what I mean, mass, you know what I mean, deportation, right? And they send all the immigrants back to their country, to their native land and their country, right? You know, there's a lot of people been here. What happened to those that been here all the way since you have Obama administration? You know, she. You know, you see where I'm coming from. She built one war after another, man. And then you hear they said, well, we sent you know what I mean, we have some we can send, but you know, this the idea. We don't want all these immigration here, so we're gonna build a wall. We're gonna build a wall. We're gonna build a wall. Yep, yep. We're gonna build a wall.
That based on the work that was being done on a bipartisan basis at this last year, that there are people that want to get to this point where we get this order at the border, where we put the funding into enforcement, into things like Border Patrol agents. And this was legislation that I'm sure not everyone agreed with on both sides, but a proposed legislation that Senator Langford had negotiated that was supported by a number of people. And hopefully that can be at least a starting point for discussing it, even though it didn't go anywhere last year. And that was, you know, increasing ICE detention capacity. It was looking at increasing border management. And I personally have taken a lot of grief for my support for COPS reauthorization and adding resources to law enforcement, which I think is so necessary with the fentanyl year issues. But I think that there is a way. I note that in that agreement, that proposal that was made, as well as the proposal that Senator Rounds negotiated, that Senator Graham has been involved in the past on path to citizenship for Dreamers, on doing something about the temporary status people, on looking at people who have not committed crimes and what we can do to make sure our workforce is strong. I think there is a path here, and I'm just continuing to focus on where we can go. And I would ask you, Mr. Turi, and your story was moving in its own way. You've lived in the U.S. for 21 years. You're now married to an American citizen, have an 18-month-old son who's also a U.S. citizen. And I watched the president-elect's interview on Meet the Press this weekend, and he did talk about working with Democrats on the Dreamer issue, which I appreciated. At the same time, then he talked about...
Well, I want to say I've been here 43 years. I see everything's the same. You know, everything had been the same. You know why? Whenever you a black man here, you know every eye is gonna be on you. You know, we as a people, we haven't shown no kind of brotherhood towards each other, love. Some of us been accepting high positions. Our political leaders, our politicians accept such high position. You know, some of us accept these crumbs from a race, you know, time has come. A time gradually approaching. You know, A time is approaching, brothers and sisters. You know what I always say, man. Trump, he's the last hope. If she's going to do anything right, if Trump going to do anything right, like, you know what I mean, like he's cleaning out all the legal immigration, migrants, and hey, see, it's going to be one war after another, man.
Senate, not everyone on the left, right, not everyone, but I'm just hoping we can get to a place like that. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Senator Klobuchar. Senator Kennedy?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Arthur, you are with the Center for Immigration Studies, is that right?
That's correct, Senator.
And that's a nonpartisan think tank, is it?
It is, sir.
Okay. The border is an open, bleeding wound, isn't it?
That's a fair way to characterize what's been going on for the last 4 years.
The southern border is chaotic by design, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I've been covering the border for 3 decades, and yeah, it's pretty chaotic.
Would it be fair to say that the broken southern border is man-made?
It would be fair to say that, sir, based on policies that have been implemented.
And that man's name is Joe Biden, isn't it?
That would be a fair assessment, yes, sir.
Under President Biden, if you wait in line for legal immigration, you're a chump, aren't you?
When you look at the benefits that have been given to people and the speed at which they've been released into the United States, I would be chagrined if I were waiting.
You're a chump, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
General,
Yes,
you
sir.
believe in open borders, don't you?
I believe in the rule of law, sir.
Right. And it makes you angry that President Trump does not believe in open borders, doesn't he?
Senator, I'm not here to discuss immigration policy. I'm here to discuss whether or not we use the military to enforce it.
And it makes you angry that most Americans don't believe in open borders, doesn't it?
Not in the slightest, sir. Again, I am not here to discuss.
Do this 7 minutes a day until February 1st. We start today. In a week, you'll feel better. In 2 weeks, you'll look better. In a month, your wife won't believe your results.
Discuss the immigration policy.
Yeah. Duty, honor, respect, you talked about that in your opening statement. On October 14th of this year, you went on CNN. I want to read you what you said. Make sure I'm accurate. Here's what you said. President Trump is not like any sane leader. I'm very proud of General Milley for saying that President Trump is a total fascist. To Bob Wood, if he as chairman of the Joint Chiefs is calling the president a fascist, I'm so proud of him for breaking that barrier. The challenge is because most MAGA Republicans, they don't understand what fascism is. The reality is that they are in fact fascists themselves. Did I read that accurately?
Senator, I am happy to discuss my personal perspectives with you separately at any time. That's not the purpose of the hearing today.
Did I read that accurately?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. You think you're smarter than the American people, don't you?
Absolutely not.
You see how arrogant he is? These people are arrogant, man. You get arrogant people in this world, man. These people are arrogant. You see that? Arrogant. That's why the country can't go nowhere. That's why you see one war right after another. You see these fires happening. You know, there's been chaos. Mid-crisis. You know, and see, I say this, man. You know, when there's ever an issue, because you know America, they make things an issue. I just see. Look, man. Now, you know, there's a lot of immigration here. There's a lot of people that been here for a long time. See, no president do good, but Biden, there was a problem. Trump, they don't think it's a problem. But there's a war. Because she creates, you know, brother, she creates this conflict. And it's this one war is created. Then you get another war is created, another war is created. These people, you know, when it comes to leaders, these people are just the most ignorant. You find the most ignorant people.
They were? You just said it? I said the Attorney General of Louisiana and Texas, and I believe this referred to specifically lawsuits brought and arguments that were made in court that the arrival of patients I'm out and of time, others
but I want to hear it
inherently
on the
dangerous.
record.
Was
You
not
Thank you very much, Senator.
believe
Appreciate
that the
your
Attorney
questions.
General at that time of Louisiana had his eyes, not knives out for black immigrants. That's your testimony.
Given
Thank
the
you, Senator
litigation
Kennedy.
conduct, yes.
Senator Hirono.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have a broken immigration system. This was acknowledged over a decade ago when I first arrived in the United States Senate. And we actually, in 2013, we had a bipartisan, comprehensive immigration reform bill that addressed the issues of all of the immigrants who are working in various large sectors of our economy, i.e., in the ag sector, where the Chamber of Commerce are concerned about what we're doing with immigration policy, where we dealt with the undocumented immigrants who are working and paying taxes for which they get absolutely, you know, they're paying the Social Security, Medicare, they don't get those benefits at all. So we have a broken immigration system. We actually had the two senators who are sitting here, the chairman and the former chair of the committee, who are part of a comprehensive immigration reform. So I don't know why we cannot come to some sort of an agreement to deal with the massive complex issues that confront us. So that is what I'm calling for. Until we make a commitment to comprehensive immigration reform, pointing fingers at the Biden administration or any other administration is not going to get us for anywhere fast. And in fact, every administration.
You see that? She brings that woman. She's bringing up facts, man. See, people gonna think Biden in the long run. Those legal immigration, those immigration gonna think Biden in the long run. You just seeing Trump just blaming Biden, and then all of a sudden you get Trump gets in office, right? He's cleaning, the house. He's sending massive deportation of these, you know what I mean, executive, you know what I mean, and he's sending executive orders. He's signing and sending these legal immigration away, man. But see the difference. People gonna think Biden in the long run. You gonna think this man. I mean, he might not have been the best president. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? If you listen what she's saying, man, each president wasn't perfect, man. Trump ain't no better.
Armed Services Committee's Readiness Subcommittee, I share your concerns. By the way, maybe you can go over again a little bit more. What kind of infrastructure would be needed to enforce immigration deportation on up to 4% of our population? What kind of infrastructure would we need in order to effect that?
I have to defer to the other experts on the panel.
Okay, well then that would be Mr. Ragnick Melnick. Am I
Yes.
pronouncing your name? Would you like to go into some of that?
Senator, in order to carry out that form of operation would require hiring tens of thousands of new law enforcement agents, would require building dozens, if not hundreds of new detention centers, hiring thousands of new judges, all at a cost of hundreds of billions of dollars, potentially up to or more than $1 trillion over the course of more than a decade.
Do you support comprehensive immigration reform?
I do.
Does anybody on this panel not support comprehensive immigration reform that really gets to some of the problem, well, that really addresses the issues that we're facing? Anybody on the panel?
Senator, I have to say, comprehensive immigration reform is not a defined term, and as with all
Well, you
legislation,
can
the
look
devil's in
at,
the detail.
excuse me, you can look at the 2013 bill, and that had some of the kinds of, that would be what I would describe as comprehensive. It was not the answer, it's not the be all and end all, but it was pretty comprehensive, wouldn't you say?
I was actually on the bench at the time that bill was introduced. I was an immigration judge and not involved in legislation.
Well, it was, trust me when I say that it was about as comprehensive immigration reform as we have managed to do in over a decade at this point. And that's more, I think, what we need to do. And I don't think there's anybody here who supports something called the open borders, because as I said, every single administration has had border enforcement policy. You may not agree with all of that. I don't think there's anybody sitting here who supports open borders, whatever the heck that means. But we all know that we need to have border control. We need that. But what are we going to do about the 11 million to 13 million undocumented people here who are very much a part of our community and the fabric of many, many communities, not to mention that there are U.S. citizens that are part of their families? And are we going to start busting them up? What's that going to do? So, before we start throwing out all kinds of so-called solutions, I think we need to think about what are we going to do to have a rational, reasonable immigration policy. And that's what I'm calling for. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Rono. Senator Blackburn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to each of you for being here today. Ms. Morin, I am so sorry for your loss. I know that's been a very difficult time for you and your family, and this truly is a...
Now, do I agree on migrants should come here to America and find them home? There've been some here. And if you ask me, to a degree, I say yeah. But do I believe in heinous acts and killing? No. Because this can happen to any family. we definitely, what I mean, we definitely get heinous crimes here. So, I'm not going to sit here and be in disagreement and things like that. We get the most heinous crimes that's come here in the United States of America, man. And most of the time, you see there be probably legal immigration, for the most part. But, you know, things happen, and it just crossed our minds that why, like, we say why people should be here, they should be comfortable. The sad thing is, man, when you see like like minority people treated different than the other minority group, that's where a lot of hate comes. You see a lot of hate, a lot of violence. You know, there's a lot of crisis, and you see midway crisis and people at rage, and the nation at rage, people angry. You know, and you got, what I mean, a uproar behavior. You know what I mean, and you got people rioting. You know what I mean, people luring, and you got looters, and you know, you got to say that this one minority group is treated fairly than the other. It's always been that way. One group is treated fairly than the other.
At all. So
That's correct.
let's talk about that. So do you still believe that Remain in Mexico was not very successful?
It wasn't. In fact, it was one of a suite of programs that went into effect in 2019, about 4 or 5 different ones over the course
Do
of
you
about 8
believe
months.
that it was a human rights disaster?
Yes, and I can tell you the stories of the women sent back by the United States
May I
to
please
Mexico
tell
who
you
were
stories
raped in
of
Mexico because of that.
people that were raped along the way, people that have been
And we sent them
trafficking,
back to those
and drug
traffickers.
dealers,
Remain
and
in
drug
Mexico
dealers.
gave
Okay.
people to the cartels, and we turned
Remain
our
in
eyes away from them.
Mexico, Remain in Mexico was successful, and we all know it. Now, let me talk
It
to
was
you
not.
about another tweet that you put up. There are not 320,000 missing children.
That's
That
correct.
number is a false interpretation of a DHS OIG report that said that 32,000 people who entered as unaccompanied children from 2019 to 2023 were ordered deported for missing court, and ICE failed to file charging documents for 291,000 more.
That's right.
Now,
That's an accurate description
you know,
of the OIG report.
This is a human rights disaster because what we have heard is the DHS Inspector General, and what they have testified is that they found 32,000 migrant children did not show up for their court date, and an additional 291,000 migrant children never received notices to appear.
That's
So
correct. That's what my tweet
is it
said.
your testimony that DHS does in fact know the whereabouts of every single one of these 320,000 children, and they're just not telling people where these children are?
No, because that's not DHS's function here. It says also Office of Refugee Resettlement. It's
It is
not their
DHS
job to go out
and
and find every
ORR.
single people.
It is DHS and ORR.
I guess the
What
broader
we
point
know,
is somebody isn't missing
sir,
if no one's
what
looking
we
for them.
know, what we know is that through reports that have been made, reporting even the New York Times.
Look, man, I want to say this, man. Children go missing every year, every day. every month. And this is the biggest problem we have, man. What I mean? We in 2025. Keep your kids close to you, man. You know why they saying it. You know why she's bringing this up, man. Because when we got a lot of, what I mean, mind grants and legal immigration, you got a lot of sex predators and murderers and rapists and pedophiles. You got all this, right? She brings up a good, you know what I mean, a good statement. In other words, man, you know, this is what we battling with. Murderers, pedophile, rapists, extortion, extorters. This is what we up against, fam. This is how war will be like. It's real in the field that whenever you got President Donald Trump sending massive, what I mean, deportation, man, he started wars because they said we got the most dangerous rapist, pedophile, drug. You know what I mean? You see, Trump had a big thing with cartels, man. The most notorious murderers, and we got the most rapists, pedophiles. Yeah, Trump said this. You know what I mean? And the first thing when he got in, he was stating that, yeah, I will build wall. I just build this wall. Trump been had a big thing, man, against migrants, immigration. He been had a big, thing against them, man.
And finality of a process, a finality, an answer, clarity about your future in a matter of weeks and months, not years and years, but that requires investment in the process by the federal government, in hearing officers, in immigration judges. So let's just lay that out if we're going to be genuine and serious about tackling the backlogs and the issues. Second, man, if I had a nickel for every time I heard fentanyl in this committee, serious problem, but irresponsible in how it's misportrayed so often in immigration conversations. Fentanyl needs to be addressed. Fentanyl needs to be stopped. Its illegal importation needs to be tackled. But if we're going to do it thoughtfully and seriously, let's look at what the Customs and Border Protection Agency tells us. 80% of individuals who are prosecuted and convicted for bringing fentanyl into this country are United States citizens. Happy to share the link, folks. Happy to share the report. So if that's a concern, then let's address the heart of the concern and not just use it as a soundbite to further attack immigrants. Oh, by the way, did you know the numbers at the southern border are way down? People talk about this crisis at the border. We always need to do more to ensure a safe, orderly, and humane border. But some of these numbers that are being tossed around are not what's happening today because of President Biden's policies this last year. So let's be intellectually honest with ourselves and the public. Now, that being said, Mr. Reichlin-Melnick, you're pretty popular today. I have a question for you as well. As you know, and you've referenced, the largest mass deportation effort in U.S. history was President Eisenhower's Operation Wetback. I referenced it in my opening statements. During that operation, more than 500,000 Mexicans, and many United States citizens were deported. And as far as anybody can tell, Operation Wetback did not achieve its intended effects of increasing employment rates or wages for U.S. workers. Former President Trump has said that he planned to model his deportation on Operation Wetback. Now, you testified today about the expected negative economic impacts of mass deportation, including the rising costs of food. Some estimates say food prices are going to go up 19% based on this alone. In what world does food become cheaper with mass deportations?
Mass deportations would not cause food prices to become cheaper. The exact opposite would occur. In fact, a single worksite raid in 2018 under the Trump administration at a beef plant in Tennessee led to ground beef prices rising by 25 cents for the year that the plant was out of operation following the raid.
And just to follow up to that question, I'm cognizant of my time, Mr. Chairman. I've referenced so many industries that have significant percentages of undocumented workforce in them. I think chief among them is the agricultural industry, not just nationally, but particularly in the state like California, the largest agricultural producing state in the nation, where estimates are well more than 75% of the workforce is undocumented. I hear from growers, as do all my colleagues. I hear from labor contractors, as do all my colleagues, about how easy it is for them to recruit United States citizens to do the work in the fields. And let me tell you how easy it is. It is not. There's a reason that the agricultural industry relies on immigrants, including so many undocumented immigrants, to help keep the food supply chain going, keep food on the tables of American families. And I invite my colleagues, if you want to get a taste of what it's like and the difficulties for the recruitment, to spend a day in the fields, like I did in 2022, picking radishes and parsley, like Senator Booker did in 2023. Happy to work with growers and farm workers to provide that opportunity for all of you. Follow-up question, Mr. Rankin-Malik. Just briefly describe to us what it would look like if the agricultural industry
Your health is your biggest asset. Find Anthem Blue Cross plan starting at $0 a month. Apply in 5 to 10 minutes for a secure future.
We're suddenly to lose half of its workforce.
I mean, if it was overnight, the U.S. food supply would crumble. Undocumented workers work across the agricultural sector, from picking crops in the field to meat processing to poultry processing to dairy to everything in between. And these are workers that without them, our food supply would drastically diminish.
When it comes to our food distribution, our food, when it comes to have to be delivered, and 80% of food can come from China. And this could be a great loss because we got storms, we got these winter storms, these snowstorms, and we got all this going on, and it causing a lot of delays. And it's not looking good, man. It's causing. Are you hearing me? It's causing a lot of delays when you have winter storms, these snowstorms, right? It's causing delays from when we have to, have these trucks to deliver our food. You got the food trucks manufacturers, and and when 80% food come out of China. See, so how are we gonna, have our food delivered in an orderly, manner, in an orderly way? It's gonna be tough.
Trump intends to do. I'm reading exactly what President Barack Obama did when he came into office and deported nearly 5 million people, or in excess of 3 million people. So at that time, were you involved politically or in this space at the time that Obama was here? How old were you back then?
I was a graduate of law school and was working at the time.
Were you opining on deportations at that time?
I was not.
Do you believe that President Obama made a grave, horrible, inhumane mistake by deporting those folks?
Well, it wasn't 5 million
under
people.
the Bush administration.
It wasn't 5 million people. When we're looking at
It was over
internal
3
ICE
million.
deportations.
So let's not split hairs.
Actual numbers are closer to 1.5 internal ICE deportations. And
But
there
you
as
said
well,
that
it
was
depends on the
immoral.
portfolio.
So you said President Obama was immoral and inappropriate to deport those million people. Is that what I heard you say?
There were many people
No,
who
it's a
were deported
yes, no
under his
question.
administration
You
that should
can't
not
be-
have been. Yes.
Look, I don't normally get into these antagonistic sorts of discussions here, but it needs to be said because you just a month ago said at the turn of the century, Jim Crow was legal. Lynchings were at their highest level in the U.S. history. Women couldn't vote. The infant mortality rate was 165 per 1,000, and the average life expectancy was 47.
You see that? Lynching was so high on black people in America. It was a shame that back in the day in Alabama, Mississippi, man, what our fathers went through, man. And there would be years investigating a dead body, then go out there and find the murderers. The lynchers, right in the South, they used to live up the street, down the alley, next door from you. And when they get tried in their own native land and they go in front of the judge in the court systems, the judge looks and have a big old smile. And Lynch brought in, and he knows what he has to do. And what he ought to do, because in his mind, he has to kill so many, because that's what the judge is saying before he walks in there. He ought to kill all of them, right in the South. You can't make this stuff up, right in the South. Our people are living in the worst stocks. The places boarded up, stinking, right there. Because of that evil demon wants to do the ill he can against the people who serve him 400 years. This is right in the South. This is right in the South. Children are coming up suffering from malnutrition. And you know what I mean? Back in that time, they used to go to the drugstore, and the drugstore owner, whenever you had to pick up the mail, the drugstore owner acting like he's doing a favor when the post carriers is bringing it to the other door. You know, you got to walk all the way to the other side. If you from the South, you know what I'm talking about. If you from the South. Little children are suffering from diseases. All behind these wicked devils want to do the ill that they can. See, so when they talk about mass deportation, right? See, you gotta understand when one ethnic group is treated different than the other, brothers. This raised a lot of suspicion. This raised a lot of questions today, and always had. It always had. It never stopped. Killing and racism and segregation here in America, that never stopped. That always stuck with us. It never has stopped it. You mean to tell me we the only thing we good for is a job? They treat yeah, they treat brown Hispanic people just like that. They treat black people, man. They treat them no worse than they treat the black man, man.
In your own experience, people who do that, they shouldn't have gotten in and they shouldn't be here. And if they are here, they should be in jail. Third, we have the question of people whose status has been determined, but it took so long for that status to be determined, in many cases, years and years, that they become an integral part of their community and they put roots down here and they haven't committed a crime. This is where we don't have consensus. There's a view among some, and I think the President-elect Trump has this view, that if you are here illegally, no matter how long it took for that adjudication to occur, and no matter what your roots are, then you should go back. Senator Graham was indicating a view that if you've been adjudicated, fair is fair and you should go back. There's another point of view, and that is that if you have been here, and we had a system that didn't adjudicate in any kind of timely way, and you have been working, I'll put it in very specific terms, on a farm in Vermont for 7 or for 8 or for 9 years, and you become a contributing member to the community.
You have a system. Hey, you have a system that rule with power. A system that separate us. When we see racism was brothers, you gotta understand, was always on the rise. No, start from the lynching. Then you know what I mean. That's why I say he's crafty, because they bring police officers in. That's why I say, man, when they hire the most lewdness of characters to come here, they hire they hire their own people, police officers. What's the qualification you ever have to be a police officer? You gotta understand something, fam. A minority group is treated, fairly than the other set. So they hire police officers of their kind. Yes, the silence. We see the saga still continue. They seek police officers to get us killed. See, they don't care about our loyalty, because in their hearts there's death against us.
We have 250 years or more of immigrants that have come to this country and have built the country to what it is today. And we are descendants of those immigrants. The issue is having an open border that allows.
You see how ignorant they are? They said we are descendants. Listen to what she's saying. These people never been descendants. These people was never descendants. When we fought the American War, when we fought and went into Mexico, the Philippines, and Japan. Come on, man. These people was our half brothers that we was fighting. Brothers. This is why your mom and your daddy tell you don't fight a war. You don't fight a white man's war. This is why your mama, listen to what I'm saying to you. This is why your mama and daddy say you don't fight a white man's war. You had no business being a white man. You know what I mean? In the army, in a war. But they have you fight the Philippines and Mexico and Japan, right? Who is our half brothers. But how many lives we lost? Right? How many lives we lost, right? But they tell you that, oh, we are the descendants. This lady said we are the descendants. Y'all not the descendants. Y'all never was the descendants. See, this is why I say, fam, they cause one war right after another, man. They can't never keep their nose clean, man. America's the number one bulldozer. She's number one on God's radar. She caused trouble, man. This is why I say, man, she caused trouble. This is why when you get another president like Trump, this is what they do, man. They love meddling into other people's affairs, man. See, if it's not broke, why should you fix it? You know, people hollering about Biden, man. Look at this. You know what I mean? Look at the border. The numbers rising of immigrations that's coming here to the United States, and then the number increased by the day. You know, people have so much to say, right? Now, when you get a lady like her saying, "We are the descendant people," now you not the descendant people.
We've got passion, we've got determination. Like, and if we set our sights on something, you better believe it's happening.
Laundry of an evening and were attacked with knives, slashed, bled, stomped upon. Should the illegals who did that, should they not be?
As I said,
over one we saw this legal immigrant deported.
They should face the consequence. Are a very small the population that President Trump is promising to deport.
Well, let's talk about the rest of the people who you don't want to be deported. You said in an article that you wrote recently, new report shows devastating costs of mass deportation. You wrote this in October. Do you remember this piece?
Yes, that is a summary of our report.
Yeah. So in this piece, and it's also in your written testimony, you talk about how much the economy will lose if the United States actually enforces our immigration laws and deports folks who are here illegally. And I want to quote you now. You say some industries would be particularly hard hit, including construction, agriculture, and hospitality, which can 500,000 workers. What's the argument here? That there aren't American workers?
No, and as I said previously, are, but the issue is
wages to rise?
I think that we want to pass a path to citizenship so we can have a level and fair playing field for every American.
Why would you want American citizens and those who are here lawfully to have to compete against illegal immigrants who, by the way, are often paid not minimum wage, who are not given the federally mandated benefits precisely because they're here illegally? Why would you want to drive down the wages of millions of working Americans who can't get those jobs in construction, agriculture, and hospitality?
See how sick he is? You see how sick one party is, man? You see how Josh right there blasts him, man. You see how sick one party is, man. Just continue to put the Americans on hard minimum wage, man. You know, that job, I'm sorry, I got to bring this up. That job that I was working. Because when you work on a temp agency and they tell you that this is $17, $18 an hour, but when you get in, the whole trick. When you work for staff, Mark, the whole trick is they take 3%. and they say, yeah, we start you at 17, 18. But no, Pete to play. You work in 8 hours, and then all of a sudden they let you work 4 5 hours because they kick people out early at times. So sometimes you're not promised getting 40 hours, and you're not getting paid the 17 or $18 an hour. You're not getting paid that. You're getting paid minimum wage. Consider you going to a job and you working, you getting paid minimum wage, man. Like I said, it's always when it comes, you know what I mean, to a black man working. We the ones. Why you think we the ones that's without work? That some of us is unemployed. Some of you unemployed with unemployment checks. And this is why I could relate this to you, because I'm one. It's all about you see one ethnic group. You see how that group is treated than the other group. Y'all not peeping and play, man. Y'all not really peeping and play, man.
Either hurt the economy or help the economy. And if we want to deport 13 million...
It hurts the economy to give American workers jobs?
Senator from Texas. Elections have consequences. For the last 4 years, we have seen the most radical experiment in open borders this nation has ever seen. There are many reasons the American people showed up in overwhelming numbers to vote, to re-elect Donald Trump, to elect a Republican majority in the Senate, to re-elect a Republican majority in the House, but there was no reason more front and center than the open borders of the last 4 years. And I have to say, I think there were a number of us wondering, did any of the Democrats in Congress learn anything from the election? And the existence of this hearing makes very clear the answer is no. We've seen 12 million people come into this country illegally under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Texas has seen Democrat for over a read this election. When your home is invaded by 1 million people, it changes your voting patterns. Every single day, we have seen Americans murdered. We have seen women raped. We have seen children brutalized by criminal illegal aliens released deliberately by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. The numbers are staggering. According to ICE, as of July 21st, 2024, nearly 650,000 criminal illegal aliens were currently on ICE's have been released. Wondering, of those 6,000, 4 have been convicted of homicide. You want to know what mass deport? Those 14,000 better pack their bags right now. Because with a new administration, we're going to arrest you and we are going to deport you. 20,061 have been convicted of sexual assault. Now, I want you to ask of my Democrat colleagues, and it is striking that virtually none of them are here. That is reflected in their conduct because they are silent and putting their head in the sand as to the human tragedies. But what resident of what blue state says, you know what, America's better off with 20,000 rapists being released into this country? 105,146 have been convicted of assault. I would ask my Democrat colleagues if they were here, why the hell today does the Biden administration not go and arrest every one of these criminals and deport them? What rational world says America's better off with more criminals
And these are not just statistics. Ms. Moran, thank you for being here.
Look, y'all. I'm gonna keep it real, man. You can't just put out a concern, man, and think that racial justice don't mean anything, man. When they gonna put out, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Put out bulletins of black people getting killed and suppress what's going on with racial, you know what I mean, killings, racial injustice when it comes to black people getting killed by police officers. When they gonna ever come up with that sketch and get many sketches of black people getting killed, man? But they can come with these sketches, right?